Welcome to the ZeroInOnUnite podcast, where we keep the energy high and the molding low. All right, trainers, time to take a break from Duncan Aos and zero in with your host, Zero.
Hello and welcome in, trainers one and all. Hi, it is me, your host, Zero In on Alex. We're back with another episode of Zero In on Unite, and of course, I am your host, Zero, but we are not here alone. We are also still here with the amazing guest that we have today, former member of Orange Juicers, and in my opinion, one of the top junglers we have in the game of Pokemon Unite. Welcome in, Kraitos. How are you doing today, brother?
Hello.
How are you, man?
I'm doing fine.
Can you really complain, right? So for those of you just tuning in, Kraitos, tell us a little bit about yourself, like who you are, and how did you actually get into Pokemon Unite?
I was a professional Unite player. I played jungle for the Orange Juicers for 2 years. I played on many other teams before that, and how I first got into Unite, I was about to quit League.
Oh,
I was in the process of quitting League and like trying to fill in the time, and Pokemon Unite came out, and I was like, okay, this is a really good opportunity to switch games and try to find a new space. And I played that for fun for a little bit, and then eventually I started going to tournaments because I thought I was doing pretty well.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, now we're here today.
Oh, wow. I don't know if you know this, but I've been a big fan of the Juicers, and I'd always go to the events that you guys were at and always try to root for you. But the past 2 years, you guys were amazing. Obviously, I know Flareon's really well and rolling it. So, it's been just a blast watching you guys play. And I know you talked a little bit about League, so I don't want to this is obviously a Unite podcast, so we don't want to talk about League. But I take it that, like, knowing that background in League of Legends, having that idea of being in a MOBA kind of helped you propel yourself into being a successful Unite player, I would say?
Yeah, I would say yes. I think my experience from League really... there's not a lot of one-to-one translations, but I think it really benefited me to have that kind of like knowledge previously.
That makes a lot of sense. And I know for the Orange Juicers that we talked about before, you were the jungler of the squad. So when you were specializing as the jungler, or as in Pokemon Unite calls it, the central path, was that like a natural fit for you? Is it something that the team needed and you're just like, hey, I can be flexible? Or was that like, tell us a little bit about the jungler process or the central path Pokemon.
Sorry, did you ask for the team, or was it just like, just in general?
I referenced Orange Juicers because you were a jungler for them, but like in prior teams, were you always the jungler, or were you a player that was able to kind of fit the mold?
I was an attacker in multiple teams as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But when it came to jungler role for the Juicers specifically, was that something that came natural to you?
I would say we just needed a player who could play either role, and we wanted the best slot in either role, and I would just play the other one. So I would say naturally, if you want to put it that way, I would fit into either role.
Oh, okay. So either or attacker or jungler. But when it came to it, like, were you comfortable with it? And you're like, hey, because of the Juicers, you had Flareons on attacker, and that felt like a more comfortable fit for you to fill in the jungler role then?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So obviously we've been talking about the Juicers. That's kind of how like your name and a bunch of other players' names got out there. It was definitely a North America fan favorite to have the Juicers. Do you remember some of your like favorite moments when it came to being part of the Juicers? Like any specific play or tournament, whether online or offline on LAN?
I think my favorite moment really has to just, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the time was there were a lot of like ups and downs, but I think I would have to say my favorite moment would be when we won on a tie for, what was it, NAIC or not NAIC? It was NA regionals.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that had to be one of the more like exhilarating, especially because you're like biting your nails wondering. But I think it works since you guys scored first. You guys were able to get the win in that tying game. So
Yeah.
I mean, definitely. And you just mentioned it. You know, we talk about how every pros and every team has its ups and downs. What's something that really challenged you during that competitive journey? I know we already heard that you came from League, but like you said, there's very small translations, not a big overarching theme here. So when it came to that, what were some of the struggles that you had becoming a competitive player?
Keeping it just too competitive. Um, it's it really came down, I think, to my teammates and their performance. I think I put in as much work as I possibly could have. But I really needed like the pieces around me to be something that I was comfortable with.
Okay. That makes sense, especially because, you know, again, at the end of the day, especially in competitive play, you know, it's a little different. It's a completely different environment, obviously in ladder, but you can't be it all, right? You're only as great as the parts that put the team together. But so what were some of those things that made sure to keep your mental on a competitive and not let any of that kind of waver?
To keep my mental in competitive.
Yeah, without like getting too a little maybe too tilted or maybe too, because you talked about when I asked the one of the challenges and it was to keep it competitive. So how did you maintain the mental, the focus to keep it competitive?
I think to keep I think on Orange Juicer specifically, I had been on a lot of teams, right? Like I was talking about a little bit.
Feel free to
I
mention
had
them. It's
previous
okay if you want it. Like
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's totally go ahead.
I mean, I was on I had a lot of different teammates is the point. I don't know if I necessarily need to mention them because um I don't know. I feel like I wasn't really recognized before Orange Juicers, even though I think I had really phenomenal performances with people you still have not heard of probably. Um like we had really high play I've had high placements throughout my entire like career, and um yeah, it's just it was with lots of different people. But I think what really made the Orange Juicers different than the other teams was like the positivity and like the strong mental that that team provided for each other. There was no like there wasn't really that much tilting. There was no really like arguing. That was my first team. I never I don't even my first team, but even like just in general, like usually you get into arguments with your friends and like
Right.
you have like disagreements or whatever, but that team we really rarely ever like got into any kind of like verbal altercation or
Right.
any kind of like and honestly like any kind of disagreement in general. It was very a high meant like a very positive mental environment, which I think contributed a lot to um, our success.
I would say not only did it like lead to your success, but I think that's also why so many fans gravitated to you, me being one of them. Just knowing that you guys, like, it's always just felt like you guys were not only a fun team to watch competitively, also on just like good success on like a competitive nature, but also there was just a sense of like, yeah, that's the juicers. I mean, think about some of the fans. I know in the crowd at a couple NAICs, I saw people making like giant cartons of orange juice, or some guy literally just brought, again, we're not sponsored here, but like a Minute Maid, like orange juice, like container to root on for you guys. People were bringing oranges, they were wearing colored shirts. I mean, I think not only did it lead to success, but I also think that it also really it kind of bled into the fans being as energized as they were. And, you know, we've been talking about the Orange Juicers, and again, that is a big name in North America for the past 2 years. But with that, was there any lesson or experience with the Juicers that still sticks to you today? I know we just talked about the positive environment, but are there any lessons or just certain behavior that still sticks to you at this point?
Um, I mean, I think I learned a lot of lessons prior to that, not necessarily with the juicers that I brought into the juicers. Just to like have the team like learn and what we're doing and how we
Right.
can resolve problems. Because before it's like, okay, well, it's very easy to get into an argument about the correct thing to do.
Right.
But I think I learned on GT that because we had a lot of disagreements on the GT.
Yeah,
But
I
I
remember
think that
GT.
my main experience and like takeaway from that was how to like stop the argument, how to like get everyone back into like how to turn the argument, like focus what would the like we want to focus on success, right?
Right.
So what it's like going back to the problem, identifying the problem, and saying, okay, what do we do here that we can all something that we can all agree with?
Right.
And I think that is probably that did not happen on the juicers, but I think it certainly helped that um helped me in like a lot of aspects in life, honestly, on how to like stop an argument and say like, okay, we all want the same thing here, we want to win, right? So this is what to do in this situation. Like we should just all come to like an agreement on what to do.
Yeah. I think
And
that's
I think
just
that prevents. It's like a very preventative measure to an argument.
I think that's really good, and that's really good like knowledge to have that you can still carry, assuming you continue the competitive scene and just want to grow, and just as an individual who's listening to this. But let's cut to the meat and potatoes of why we're here. We got a good amount of like kind of pulse of you, the juicers, but like we talked about in the beginning. You were the jungler for Orange Juicers. So if you were in, I guess you could explain in two ways. It's a two-part question. The first part is, to a newbie, how would you define the jungler role? And just as equally, how would you define the jungler role to the higher level? Is there even a difference on how you would define the jungler or the central path Pokemon?
To the new players, I would say honestly the roles don't really matter. I would say you should just focus on like playing well rather than doing like focusing on your job or whatever. I don't think that necessarily matters. I think a very simple piece of advice though is like the places that you go to, you're going to make you're going to make a difference there.
Right.
So if wherever you should be thinking, okay, since I start in the middle, I can go to one side or the other side. What side do I want to make a difference in?
Right. Gotcha.
That would probably be like the simplest way to break it down.
Yeah, like talk to me like I'm 5 years old, Kraitos, because I am big dumb dumb. But but now then the other part is like, okay, that's the novice. Okay, make good plays. You're gonna make a difference, and obviously, you know, kind of map awareness is like a big topic always, right? But now looking at like the pro level, which is where you're at, how would you define that there?
I think it's pretty similar, but there's going to be more nuance to it. Where do you want to? You should be moving to where you want to swing your tempo on the map.
Gotcha.
So, do you want to continue pressuring the weak side, their weak side, and like and try to like get a momentum through that way, or try and go to the weaker side and try to catch your team back up and try to get stacks or something. So it's more tempo related rather than like whatever else.
Right. So
and also there's
go ahead, please.
The main thing is like what you'll see a lot in pro games is like you'll see trades happen a lot, right?
Yeah.
So you'll see one side playing really hard for one side and then the other side playing for the other side. So usually the stronger team is going to pick the side that they want, and then the other team has to fall back and then go to the opposite side so that they can get something off the map.
Okay.
That's generally that's still very simplified, but that's something to think about when you're like watching, I guess, and also playing. Is like, okay, we need to get something. It's bad for us to trade here, so we should try to do something else on the map.
Gotcha. I mean, so I would say like having map awareness, knowing matchups is going to be very definitive. I mean, I know you talked about.
I mean, that's more of a base skill, I think, that
Mhm.
a newbie should be trying to understand, and not
Mhm.
necessarily like the pro level.
Right.
So that
Gotcha.
like having awareness, that's another like easy thing to get good at. Is like,
You say that, but have you been on the ladder lately?
yeah, but people aren't trying to. The problem with the ladder is like they don't try to get better,
Right.
and there's no reason to.
Right.
Like there's no like, oh yeah, hit master. Okay, good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good. Right? Everyone's gonna just be happy with master.
That's
Like,
true.
oh, I hit the highest rank. Okay, yeah, don't need to do anything more.
Right.
If you play league, like the highest I hit in league was diamond, and I was like, okay, I can always keep getting better.
Right.
And I started in bronze, right?
Oh, if we
Like,
bronze, baby. I'd be living in
Yeah.
bronze.
Like I started in bronze, I played, I like, okay, I'm learning, I'm climbing, I'm going up, you know, all these little things I'm picking up. Yeah. Like they all like, so a lot of it transferred over. Like one, like you said, like map awareness is what I do is I constantly, I'm staring at my minimap. I'm not looking at my character that much.
Right.
And my eyes are glued to the minimap. That's like a basic skill to me, because I would do that in league, because you need to know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Flicker on the map.
Oh, are you kidding
on
me?
The map for a
Yeah.
half second, you need to see that.
If
you see it for a half second, you get so much information from just seeing someone for half a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how important it is to have that skill.
No, I couldn't agree more. Setting up wards and whatnot, being, if I see a flicker, it's like, yo, we gotta know that they're there. We gotta work together as a team, and then cry about it when your team doesn't listen.
You would insta ping it. In league, you insta ping. Okay, yeah,
immediately.
this guy's there. You guys need to back off and just spam ping your guy back off.
Oh my gosh! I mean,
because especially as the jungler, it's your responsibility to know most of the time, because in lanes you're fighting, right?
Right.
You're like focusing on last hitting over the other team.
Yep.
So you need to like pay attention to your farm.
Absolutely.
Jungling, you're fighting a bot.
Yeah.
You should be paying attention to your map at all times.
At all times, to know what's gonna happen. But
unless you're actually contesting something, you're probably not paying as much attention. But if you're ever like moving on them, like if you based and you're walking out, you should be just staring at your map. There's no reason not to.
Exactly.
There's nothing to look at.
There's nothing else, right?
Yeah, there's literally nothing else to look at. You should be looking at your map.
But in that sense, kind of bringing it back to Unite a little bit, like, do you have if at all, do you ever have a process in terms of tracking the enemy jungler? Like, do you ever focus on like maybe some timers, some positioning, or is it really, because you've done it so much, does it boil down to an instinct?
It's definitely instinct, but it definitely is like a learned instinct, right?
Okay.
It like you can like again, this is something I got from League. So I said a little bit about the map awareness. As soon as you see that quarter-second flicker, they messed up a little bit and they walked into vision a little bit, then you know, okay, you can essentially deduce what the other team is going to do by seeing like one or two people, right? So if you see if you see their support, like they're walking down for like a half second, okay, they're probably putting at least two more people there.
Right.
So now what do we do with that information? Okay, we can play on the other side, or we can match them. If we're stronger, we match them. If we're weaker, then we want to play on the other side. Sorry, what was the original question? I kind of forgot.
No, it's okay. It's basically like, obviously we boiled that down to instinct, but is there a process for tracking like the enemy central path Pokemon, the jungler? Do you focus on timers at all? Positioning?
Like, I mean, timers is an instinct too, honestly. It's easier when you take the farm and you can see the buff timer, and then as soon as it's like 85% done with the timer, it's gonna spawn in like a few seconds. So you should position for that. But yeah, it doesn't deviate far from my previous point where you can make assumptions based on the smallest amounts of information that you get.
Right.
If you have no information, you should be playing very safe and not making assumptions at that point.
Right.
If you're playing with zero information, because that's the difference, right? Like if you see that quarter second, then they're like, oh yeah, 4 bot, let's go top,
right,
or 3 bot, let's go top,
right,
or let's go bottom, and match them because we think we're stronger, right. So it's not necessarily an instinct, it's more like you can definitely make deductions based on what the other person is doing, as long as you can have like some form of vision. Like one thing you can assume, right, is, or you can't assume this, but one thing you can do is,
I mean, it's a created scenario.
Yeah, like let's say you walk through the jungle and you don't see any farm, but you got like the little dot off the map, right? So as soon as you see the dots pop up, you can then make an assumption like, okay, their jungler potentially can make a rotation through their jungle, right, like within the next 10 seconds.
Right.
If I see him anywhere else, then I can go to his jungle and take all his stuff.
It. Right.
Yeah. So that's like a small like push and pull of like where you want to be going, like as a jungler.
Right. So I mean, but
that's like a very like tunneled answer, right? Like the rest of his team is obviously on the map,
right?
Like, they can go and take it as well. It's not just as simple as
like that's like under a microscope. That's like just one little.
Yeah,
example.
That's like one facet of the big picture where you can make these deductions. Like you constantly want to be making deductions, right? Where you see one person somewhere, and you see the farm spawning, then you can start making decisions on where is the best place to go.
Right. When talking about which place to go, and I know we touched on it a little bit, but like, and this could be something that like I feel like is a very open-ended question. So feel free to just kind of, wing it however you feel it. But when it comes to like a lane is losing, because that is something that could happen, right? Maybe their jungler hasn't gone back because they're pushing really hard. But like now, let's say a lane is losing. How do you decide whether to help that lane or just say, hey, we have to cut our losses and try to help on the stronger lane that might be doing well? How you as a jungler decide that? I know it depends.
It depends on a lot of things, but I'll say this: like, if the lane is too far down, like one thing I really don't like in scrims and like tourney is that if a lane dies in the first rotation, then they're probably going to lose all the farm in that lane, and then the bees or the Altaria and the Swablues are going to be unplayable.
Right.
Because in the early stage of the game, the level swings are a little bit bigger than later on, because your guys are going to be level 4 and the other team's going to be level 5, and maybe they have like a Dodrio, like Buzzwole,
Hoopa. Yeah.
And then, okay, you can't go to that lane.
No, because you'll just get absolutely dominated.
You'll just die. Everyone will die.
Right.
Even if you 4-man it, you'll all die.
Right.
Because your guy died, he's probably level 3, maybe taking 4. Your support's going to be level 3, almost certainly.
Right.
And you're going to be fighting 2 level 5s with move power spikes, and it's just not winnable. But there's times where it's like, okay, you hit levels, maybe you have the Buzzwole level 7, the other guy's level 8, whatever. Like let's say
lads, it's good, level 8.
Yeah, Blaziken's fine, yeah. Like let's say like Blaziken 8, Buzzwole 7, they didn't really get stacks. Maybe we only lost by a little bit. Okay, then maybe now, okay, we can just randomly hit it with a 4-man. But you have to hide the 4-man, right? Like that's very important. You don't show where you want to go.
You don't show all 4 players.
Yeah, you want to hide like all your team, basically. Like information is very important. So you can potentially make that play. It's not like a decision you make. You need to make these decisions like kind of like beforehand, right? Like you need to make the call at least like 20 seconds early, probably, so that everyone can get in the right spot. But yeah, it's when a lane is only really lost in that first scenario. After that, there's like windows of opportunity where like let's like the blazing example, or another example would be like Zacian, like level 8 Zacian.
Right.
He's not level 9 yet. He doesn't have his ulti. We have a guy who can perma CC him for like 4 seconds. There is no character in the game that can survive 4 people with 1 level advantage.
Right.
So
It's not happening.
So if you can like find if the Zacian's like plays a little bit carelessly and doesn't like respect the fact that they don't see anybody on the map, then he can die and you can like push it in. And even if he doesn't die and the other team didn't really expect a rotation and they only have 2 people on top pad, then maybe you can push with all 4 guys and then get something out of it.
Yeah.
And then at that point, when your guys score, you're probably gonna be closer to the same level, and then now the game is more equalized.
Right. Now you've kind of changed the odds.
His advantage is lost.
Right. You're able to get back
in
into
turn.
it.
Yeah, they in turn would have had to make like a bigger play bottom and gotten more out of that than what we got out of the top. But usually it's hard to. It's generally very hard to make that trade if this happens, obviously.
Right, of course. This is all, and this is for everybody listening.
This is all a hypothetical.
Right. Like, this is not a, like, and I think that's just a general thing for Pokemon Unite and MOBAs in general. Just because A plus B happen to equal C this time doesn't necessarily mean it'll work every single time. We're trying to make it in a way where, like, an example, but it's not gonna always work that way.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very broad example, but it does happen a lot though.
Right.
Like it's a very
feel
common
like it's general
scenario.
enough.
Yeah, it is a common enough scenario where okay, we can move it we can move a little bit like more into the game where if the game is stalemated still at 5 minutes, then you can like, okay, let's try again where we're not really down. Or we're down a little bit, but then we can match their 4-man, and then just like let's say like we're like Miraidon bot lane like attacker into like Raichu or Mew, and then you just match 4 people, and all 4 of you are just stalemated bottom, just trying to do something, but you can't because which is in favor of the losing team, right?
Right, of course.
Because you could just play for stalemate and then hope your guy in top is just like equalizing
farming
as well.
Up, yeah,
and then you're just all going to be like at the same like low level, like level 12 at the end of the game,
right?
Like that's also like an option that you can take or choose.
In a really quick question before I get into what I really wanted to ask on the subject, were you the shot caller for Orange Juicers and or other teams, or was it like
I generally do I don't do main shot calling. Like I won't usually main shot call, but I will make calls and they're usually the final calls. So
Gotcha.
I would generally do the counter call. I'll generally do the main call of like the important things.
Right.
Otherwise, like I like usually the teams I've been on is like 2 shot callers.
Right.
So Orange Juicers was like me and Zugrug, where Zug would call certain macro plays that I am not as good at, but I will usually call like the bigger, like, okay, let's do this at this objective.
Right. Which makes sense. I kind of see that because Zug was your guys' defender, and I feel like defenders have a lot of like knowledge on that because like as a defender you enable a lot of plays, but you as the jungler also have to keep like those 2 types of players. And I'm not saying once again this is not the end all be all, but I do see how that is something that would happen between you 2.
Yeah, I mean, I generally think that defender or support should be like when we were before Orange Juicers, what were we?
GT? Or just Orange Team?
No, before that. It was oh man, I can't remember.
I was like, I remember
a team prior to that, but
okay.
Our support player was a shot caller and me.
Ah, okay.
So I think, in my opinion, one of the support or defender should be like making a lot of calls because, I mean, generally they're the one making like rotation, and they're the ones getting the vision, so they can see more of the map more of the time.
We're hearing from production that was it Gengar Goons?
No. It was right before Orange Team.
Okay, yeah, because I remember Orange Team, and then they're like, you can't be called that, and you're like, okay.
It was the team right before that.
Okay. Well, that did lead into my question a little bit, because I wanted to know if you were a shot caller, because this now I have to ask, how do you manage tempo? I mean, you are the jungler here. You are the Central Path Pokemon player, but how do you manage tempo? How do you make sure you don't keep that momentum and then just go boom, you now like get like you overcompensated, now you're getting pushed back?
How I manage tempo, and when I'm the way I've played and this game specifically has been generally from behind, because generally my teammates are not as mechanic. Like let's say take any of my teams against LG, right? This latest iteration of LG, who have probably the best mechanical players in like multiple slots.
Right.
So generally, my shot calling to win the games has been to equalize the game, so that we're in a position that we can always play the Ray or the Groudon or whatever, and that I play the game in a way where if we're all level 13 and they're all level 13 at the end, at the 2-minute mark, we're good to go.
Right.
Because like we're all the same level. You're like, regardless if they have a point lead, like maybe we have to do something with the point lead or whatever. But generally, like that's my play style, and like I want to equalize the game, and just keep it that way. And generally, we have a really good shot at winning at the Ray because of the way we fashioned our team comp.
Gotcha. Okay. As we're getting closer to the end of this little bit, we are recording for those of you listening right now, because who knows when they'll listen, right? We are near the end of October 2025. We are recording this on the 26th. Ooh, behind the scenes. But if you could right now, what are 3 Pokemon that thrive in the jungle or the Central Path should be learning right now, and why?
For what format?
I would say for a high-level pro player, more than a novice.
A high-level pro player? Right now, the meta is changing a lot, so it's really hard to say. But generally, I would say Dodrio is my number one, because Dodrio has tools available to it that can just win the game.
Right.
And it can propel the game like really far forward. And it has when it gets ahead, like if it gets really far ahead, the other team cannot play the game.
Right.
So I would say that right now,
maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be definitive either, because again, the meta is always going to be changing. But I just think
it's always changing. Like there's some like picks that are like up and down a lot. Like for example, right now Darkrai is probably something that is very, very annoying.
Yeah.
And most people probably don't want to play into it, because I played some of it on ladder like 2 days ago, and you can stall the entire enemy team for like 30 seconds by yourself.
Goodness.
It's very, very, very annoying. Like if they try to kill you, they're using so many resources because you're sitting invincible, like sitting there forever, and the cooldown is only 5 seconds because of how they change the character.
Right.
So what's the most difficult thing about jungle is that is the flexibility of the role, and how the team comp needs to usually revolve around the jungle.
Right.
So if you're like a Leafeon team, then you probably want like scaling characters on the sides.
I know you play quite a bit of Leafeon.
Yeah, I would not play Leafeon right now though. It's very weak. So probably right now, I would say Blaziken is my number 2 pick.
Ooh.
Blaziken is has a very strong 5. It basically guarantees you the bees or the Altaria and the Swablues, because it can drag.
Right.
It can unstoppably drag it over to your side.
Right.
Which
Love that.
some characters can't necessarily do that.
Right.
Some of the other dragon characters, I mean. So you can basically secure the bees, and you can go even in the game and just be super happy because you're Blaziken.
Right.
And you will always be good at every point of the game.
Yeah.
So Blaziken's my number 2, and then number 3, I would say just to fill out the roles, I think Cinderace is probably number 3.
Ooh.
That's like,
yeah.
I think these are timeless. All 3 of these are probably going to be timeless junglers.
Mhm.
I don't want to say right now because I could say like, or I could say like Urshifu. I could say like
Right.
I could just say anything. But I think the 3 most timeless junglers that are almost always good in some way if you make the team comp is Dojo number 1, Blaziken number 2, and Cinderace number 3. Because Cinder.
I love Cinderace.
The thing about Cinderace and Blaziken is that they can both hit the objectives,
right?
And they have something that can KO the objective,
right?
Like a very good last hit in their kit in some way. Like Cinderace ult, now you can probably go Pyro Ball potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a pretty good move right now. Actually, I don't know, I haven't really been playing, so but I know it is strong. It is strong.
Yes,
so
Fireball does quite a bit.
But yeah, I mean, and obviously the Unite. Like the Unite is like, you can always like, okay, we're gonna run a Groudon and we're gonna hit the Groudon and good luck.
I mean, rip and flip, baby. Call it a Beyblade because we're gonna let it rip.
And Cinderace destroys melees.
Yeah,
like the vast majority of the melees. It destroys all the speedsters. It destroys all the all-rounders, and it can be good into many of the mages, and it can win every matchup. Right. All 3 of these characters can beat every other character in the game, like because of that's just what their kit is.
Right.
They cannot be bad.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if the other team has like a lot of different counters to those 3, then you shouldn't be picking them.
Right.
But those 3, I think, are not really that hard to play, except Dodrio.
Yeah.
And I mean, they fill out your team comp most of the time. If you can pick one of the 3, if you have all 3 available to you and you can pick one of the 3, then it can fill out pretty much any team composition.
Gotcha. All right, Kraitos, on these last 2 questions we have up for you here, and this is now, if somebody who's listening to this, we're not talking about the novice who just picked up the game yesterday. We're now trying to reach a person who's like, you know what? I've been having really good success, right? So now, how do you reach that pro level as a jungler? They're like, you know what? I'm having decent success. I'm doing these small grassroots tournaments. I'm doing really well. What kind of mindset or habits should they develop moving forward? Something that maybe you did.
It's hard because, in my opinion, the junglers after me and Trainer, the fall off is pretty big.
I wasn't gonna say it, but yeah.
And the problem is, like, most of the junglers' mon pool is very bad. Trainer's mon pool is not that good either, but he made up for it by being the literal best in slot on the mons he could play.
Love Trainer.
Yeah.
I have a personal relationship with Trainer. That's a whole story it could be a podcast in and of itself with Trainer, but
like,
no.
that's just I'm not flaming anybody or anything.
Oh, no.
Like, that's my objective view on it, is that he's very extremely good on like Leafeon, especially. Greninja. When Greninja was good, he's literally the best Greninja I've ever seen. No Greninja will ever be better than Trainer. That is the kind of player he is. He has like a super hyper carry like playstyle, but like if he gets on like certain characters, like other characters, it does not look as like that.
Right.
But that's impossible to expect from anyone.
Right. Of course.
It's really hard to like. Yeah. This is not like a flame or
no.
Like down talking him in any way.
No.
It's just how it is, right? Like me, I'm very mediocre on like a lot of characters, but I can make those characters work, right? Like I'm not going to say I'm the best like on most characters, but I can play them very well at a level where I can match the best players, and I can play to the tempo that I want, where it's like, okay, I only need to play it at this level, and it's good enough
Right.
because we can fill out the other problems with other slots.
Right.
So if someone wants to reach that level, I would say, um, self improvement is the most key part, and being mechanically good.
Yeah.
Being mechanically good is very important, and also the most important thing about junglers is your decision making. And I don't know how. I thought about this a lot, and I have no idea how you fix your decision making other than forcing yourself to realize that in the moment, okay, this is what I need to do.
Right.
And that's really hard because the game variance is really high. There's a lot of different scenarios and things that you have to be prepared for.
Yeah.
And being able to adapt to that, level is very, very difficult. And I would say that is impossible to do without a lot of experience and like being able to VOD review against a
Oh.
high level team.
Yeah.
But the problem is that the high level teams will only play other high level teams because playing low level teams is a waste of time.
Right, because they're not gaining anything from it.
Yeah, because it's I think either side is not gaining anything because it's just a blowout and the game is unplayable from one side.
Right.
And it's really boring on the other side because you're blowing them out. So
Which makes sense.
Yeah, so I think to really get better, I would say first focus on mechanics, focus on your awareness, and focus on your instincts. And really, really, you have to put everything into learning it because otherwise, you're just not gonna. It's just not going to be a match.
Gotcha. Okay.
But mechanics, you can always like kill someone or KO someone through mechanics. So
right.
I would say probably that.
Okay, no, I think that's totally fine. But final question for you here, Kraitos. And again, this is where you are completely up to, give out whatever info you want to. But what is next for you? Do you plan to still compete, or are you focusing on other projects? Again, this is your time to say, I don't want to say anything, or I want to say this much, or whatever you please. The floor is yours on this one.
I haven't said it officially, but I guess I can say it now is that I am not going to play this next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I decided against it because it takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
It takes too much time to like really play well and stay and keep playing well.
Right.
And being consistent.
Right.
Keeping consistency is very, very difficult at high level because of things that I mentioned. Like you need to make the right decisions over and over and over again within a 10-minute time frame.
Right.
You need to make the correct ones over and over and over and over. And if you mess up one time badly, you lose the game.
Yeah. Yeah,
the
absolutely.
game is over. You're gonna get blown out because you messed up. Like you messed up badly. I'm saying badly, right?
Right.
Like but that can happen when you don't play consistently. You just mess up badly, and the game you're just gonna lose every time.
Right. Well, regardless, Kraitos,
So,
it was a blast not only seeing you compete. If you ever do decide one day you're like, hey, you know what, maybe not, who knows. Regardless, I do want to say thank you for not only always being a great competitor. I know I've ran into you a couple of times at personal events, but I also want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to be on the show. So thank you so much, Kraitos, and thank you for all the knowledge that you've been able to kind of hopefully at least inspire. And maybe some people, I know I saw some people in chat taking down notes, being like, okay, wait, write that down. But again, thank you for being on the show, Kraitos.
Yeah, no problem. I hope I can come back next year, but maybe my my competitive spirit will not be around still. We'll see.
We will see. But okay, thank you for, if you have enjoyed this, make sure to follow everything that you want to know about the Zero In on Unite podcast. Feel free to check us out on Twitter. We have a Twitter. You can also check out the Unite Academy where we post about it. This will also be uploaded on YouTube, so if you missed out on today's live show, you can always keep up to it. I'm also in the works. I know I've been running a little late on this, and I'm sure production will get on me. This episode will also be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. But until next time, trainers, go take care of one another. Yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, today was a gift, and I hope you've been out there making the most of it. But until next time, trainers, this has been the Zero In Unite podcast with your host, Zero. Until next time, adios.